Most people you know make this investment, and it's keeping them poor. What's the biggest drain on your financial growth? Your car. You might be shocked, but once we break down the real costs of owning a car, you'll be pulling your old bike out of the garage. Let's start with the most obvious cost, car payments. The average monthly payment for a new car is $716 a month. That's $8,592 a year. For a used car, the average monthly payment is $526 a month. That totals up to $6,312 a year. Most people finance a car when they purchase it, but this is objectively a bad investment. A car is not like a house. A house is an asset whose value is likely to hold. At the very least, it probably won't approach zero. Cars immediately depreciate and will not ever rise in value. A brand new car loses about 10% of its value as soon as it leaves the dealership. That means if you buy an average priced car for $48,008, as soon as you leave the dealer, you are now $4,800 poorer because that car is now only worth $43,207. That's a change after only a few minutes. After that, a car will probably lose 20% of its value in the first year alone. Each year after that, until the fourth or fifth year, your car will depreciate another 15%. Even though this asset is worth so much less so quickly, you will still be making car payments for the full amount. At least when you pay a mortgage, you're getting that value back in your ownership of the home. This is why Warren Buffett recommends buying used cars. He says to buy used with cosmetic issues since they will often carry discounts. By buying a used car at a discount, you will lose less money as your car depreciates. Warren Buffett also recommends driving a car until it literally breaks down and won't run anymore. This way, you're getting the absolute best value out of your car. This is why he drives a car from 2014, although it is a Cadillac, so it's not like he bought something cheap. Besides your car payment, you have other expenses the first day you buy a car, and I don't mean the down payment. When you buy a car, you will have to pay sales tax, like any other purchase. But because a car is such a big purchase, the sales tax will be proportionately large. The average sales tax is 5% in the US, although some states don't tax used vehicle sales. There are other states that don't have sales tax at all: Alaska, Delaware, Montana, New Hampshire, and Oregon. But in most states, if you buy a car at the average price of $48,008, you are looking at a sales tax of about $2,400. That's $2,000 just for the privilege of paying money to a car dealership in your state. Sales tax isn't the only money you owe the state when you buy a car. You will also need to pay to register the vehicle. This means you pay money for the privilege of having a car in your state, a legal title securing your ownership of the vehicle, and a license plate. Registration fees vary widely from state to state. States will require different fees at different amounts, but you could be looking at up to $2,000 in registration fees. Beyond that initial registration, every year you will have to renew your registration. Luckily, it's not as expensive to renew your vehicle. Again, these renewal fees will vary widely between states, and they increase if you wait longer than a year to register. Most states cost about $30 to renew. So how much does it really cost to buy a car? Adding up all the averages we've talked about here, getting a car will cost you, assuming a 10% down payment on the average car costing $48,008. Your very first month of car ownership will cost you $9,916.80. That's 20% of the whole cost of the car. The same amount the car will depreciate in the first year, coincidentally enough. Now you know how much the car will cost you out of the gate, let's look at what that vehicle is going to do to your finances every year until you get rid of it. You are legally required to buy car insurance if you intend to drive your car. The only exceptions are New Hampshire and Virginia. If you live in any other state in the US, you'll need insurance. Otherwise, you'll be breaking the law and could lose your license or have your car impounded. The average cost for car insurance is $167 per month, totaling $2,008 a year. Of course, you don't have to pay that much. There is a minimum coverage required by law, and that's generally at least $52 per month, totaling $627 per year. But that's the bare minimum. Insurance prices vary quite a bit as they are based on a number of factors, including your personal driving record, your demographics risk factors. Sorry, teen drivers, you get the highest rates by far, your location, and the car itself. Car insurance depends heavily on how expensive repairing the car would be if something were to happen, so the nicer the car, the higher the insurance. Another variable cost that gets more expensive with higher priced cars: repairs and maintenance. On average, people spend about $66 per month on car repairs and maintenance. That's about $800 a year. The more expensive the car, the more costly the maintenance. That's because specialized parts or even specialized mechanics might be necessary. One example is an oil change. An oil change is a pretty simple process, right? If you have a Bugatti, that simple process will cost you between $20,000 and $25,000. On a more reasonable yet still luxury car like an Audi, an oil change will be about $143 to $179. That's twice as much as a standard car. Think about it, you need to change your oil about every 6 months. If you buy an expensive car, or even just a slightly above average car, you will be racking up charges for oil changes and all the other repairs your car will need. Fuel is another major expense of owning a vehicle. We all feel the pain every time we stop at the gas pump, but let's look at the totals. Gas costs vary from state to state, but on average, if you have a 12-gallon tank, it costs about $46.20 to fill up. On average, people fill up their tank every other week. If you have a truck or a long commute, you might need to fill up more frequently, like 1 or 2 times every week. This is true for a lot of people, so it's not unusual for someone to pay $400 a month on gas. In fact, the average household in the US spends $5,000 on gas annually. That's almost 2.24% of their total income. So with all of this in mind, what's the average cost of a year of car ownership? Let's review all the costs that go into owning a car. That's just owning a car, not buying a new one. You'll be paying car loan payments, registration renewal fees, car insurance, maintenance and repairs, and fuel costs. The total? $16,430 a year. That means every year you will be paying about 34% of the original cost of the car, and that car will be worth half as much in just 5 years. Consider the opportunity cost as well. Instead of paying this money for a depreciating asset, how much would you have after 5 years if you put all that money in a high-yield savings account? $102,871. Put that money into your car, you'll have a vehicle worth less than $20,000 if it hasn't broken down completely. That's an $80,000 loss. What's frustrating is that most places in the US are designed so that you need a car. There's little to no public transportation, even though that would save everybody money and could help save the planet. And for most places in the US, don't even talk about walkability. Walking or riding your bike in most cities is asking to get hit in an intersection or die of heat stroke in the hour it takes to get to the grocery store. So if you absolutely need a car like many people do, here's what you can do to minimize your loss. Take Warren Buffett's advice. Buy something used but reliable. Even a 10-year-old car will have many years left if you keep it up. Pay cash if you can. Avoid getting a car loan if possible, because you will always pay more than the asset will be worth while you own it. Think about it. If your current car is paid off and it is getting you from point A to point B, why would you add an additional expense to your budget by buying something new that does the same thing? It will probably cost more in maintenance too. So buy used and reliable, pay cash, and drive it until it evaporates. If you do these things, rather than succumbing to the obsession of buying new, you will have the usefulness of a car without all the loss. We mentioned mortgages earlier. Curious how much home you can afford? Watch this video.